With the kingfish and the redfish patrolling the jetty and the beaches, you won't have to go far to have a good day of fishing. If you're going to go to your favorite lake to catch bass or crappie, the deep part of the lake is where you should start looking. If you want to know more, stay right here because it's time for the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Brie Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy, hoping you had a great first weekend of June. Rick, I know you did, celebrating your 60th. Where did you go? What did you do? This man's been all over the world, so I want to hear where you went.
So we went to the Northeast. We went to Cape Cod and hung out. Went up to P-Town, went to see where the Pilgrims first landed, 1609. Ooh. Then we went over to the Kennedy compound in hiatus. We had a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Really
cool.
Good weekend. All right, well, we have a fun-filled weekend of fishing ahead of us, so let's head to the workbench to see what Dave Farrell's prepped for us. Dave.
Well, we're going to talk about dolphin fishing tonight.
Yes!
One of my favorite things.
My favorite thing, too.
I know. Well, it's because you sent me that email about wanting to do dolphin tonight that we're doing it.
Oh,
yep.
Well, I said something in his ear. That's why. Oh. It's my fave.
All
right, well, we're starting big in the Lower Fresh region with Matt Reed on Choke Canyon, Fayette County, Lake Somerville, Travis, Bastrop, and good old Lake Falcon. So, Matt, let's get her done.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. I'm going to start this thing with a largemouth bass. Mike Bates has sent me a report from Choke Canyon. It's definitely summer in South Texas. We've had temps in the mid-100s all week and for the foreseeable future. The hot days have the water temperature in the low 80s. The big ones are still biting both offshore and in the hydrilla. Moving baits seem to be working well for the first hour of the day, feeding on shad around that grass. So, spinner baits or lipless crankbaits, that kind of deal is working around the grass. Later on, you want to move to the outside edge of the grass with either a Texas rig or a Carolina rig. Throw your soft plastic up and work it slowly out. There's also some deep fish out on the structure in about 20 feet of water. You need to locate those on your side scan with your electronics. Mike says once you find them, they've been really willing to bite, so keep the lookout for them. Greg Boyd sent me a report from Fayette County. It's producing good numbers of fish on the outside edge of the grass in that 5 to 10 foot range. Wacky rig plastics have been best for those early in the mornings. Later, move out on the main lake points and drop-offs in 12 to 19 feet of water with a Carolina rig or a heavy shaky head. Watermelon-colored soft plastics has been your best bet. Lake Somerville is producing good numbers in the brush piles in 12 to 20 foot of water. Jigs and drop shots are producing the best consistent bite over there. Brian Cotter sent me a report from several lakes in the Austin area. Lake Travis is fishing well. There's some nice bigger ones that are starting to show up deep. You want to catch those fish on jigs, Texas rig, shaky heads, and drop shots. There's also a shallow topwater bite that's on the bluffs. You want to throw a walking style or a popper style bait right up against the steep bluffs around the big rocks, and that's the best way to catch those fish. Lake Bastrop is also showing out. Look for the schooling fish in the discharge first thing in the morning. Then later in the day, out in front of the dam. You want to use small propeller topwaters in clear or bone color. You can catch some also on a small straight tail swim bait. Just let it sink down through the schooling fish and they'll pick it up on the free fall. You can also catch some on the grass if you want to work the edge of the grass with a small worm. That's getting some consistent bites. Got two pictures there. That's Brian Cotter with a couple of the Austin area fish. Don't remember for sure whether those were Travis or Bastrop, but they're a couple of good ones.
Nice. Tell us about the crappies, bub. Or
we're going
catfish.
Let's do the catfish here, Rick. Falcon Lake, Ram Reyes has sent me a report about the cats. They're post-spawn. The big cats are caught in the middle of the creek. Cut shad, tilapia, or carp are your best baits. The smaller cats are hanging shallow. The bigger ones have definitely been caught at night. Moving on over to the white bass and hybrids, Lake Somerville. It's been kicking out a lot of white bass and hybrids right now. Large schools are chasing bait on the lower end. Main lake points and channel swings have been where they're located. chartreuse slab spoons up to an ounce and a quarter. Jig it off the bottom quickly. That's what's been producing the best bite.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the lower fresh hotspots from FiberTech. He says that Fayette County is producing good numbers of bass on the outside edge of the grass line at 5 to 10 feet of water using lipless crankbaits and wacky rig plastics first thing in the morning. The main lake points in 12 to 19 feet of water with a Carolina rig or a shaky head with watermelon colored or tilapia colored stick baits is also money.
Money, money, money. All right, the Fish Bites Upper Coast region is showing off next with some sheep's head and reds inshore, kingfish and snapper offshore. So let's get Captain Carl Weston on the line for some more details.
All right, folks, let's dive right into the sheep's head bite. It's remaining fairly consistent this week along the Galveston jetties, and fishing the outgoing tide has been the best. So try and catch that, folks. A variety of methods have been reported this week. Now, a good old Texas rig tipped with squid-flavored fish bites is hitting the mark right now. A simple bottom rig with dead squid or cut bait works as well for these little guys. We prefer using a small eagle claw circle hook. Yeah, 4 or 5 aught, since the sheep's head have a small mouth, and it can be really difficult to hook it sometimes. So it's better to downsize the bait and the hook into these sizes, and your hookup ratio will be a lot better. These little guys are a great fish, folks, to target when you have young anglers. Love to take the kids out, practice a little catch and release, or just take a few home to fry. Now, we got a picture here today of a young man with a fish.
Nice sheephead. All right, what else you got for us this week inshore, Carl?
Okay, redfish. Another week of battling these high wind guys and stained water. So targeting the redfish, and try to stay in the protected shores. East side of the jetties has been the area to be, key for catching these fish. The channel edges have held nice fish all week, even with that high wind. That we're getting an influx of water coming from the Gulf, and it seemed to clear up a little bit. Now these areas, the betas are schooling right along that color edge where that fresher water is coming in, cleaner water. Birds are diving right there. You'll see where the action is. So throwing hard plastic like a Mirror Mirodyne and mackerel has been really good. Try saying that 3 times fast. The old faithful live bait option would be a shrimp or a croaker on a popping cork or a Texas rig. We have a picture of a nice redfish here today.
There you go, family fun. Having at it. Go ahead, dude. What else you got? Let's go offshore now.
Well, fast and furious in the summer. Here we go. Kingfish are getting thick around structure and the surface platforms here in the Upper Coast. Mother Nature is going to give us a well-needed break this weekend, and it looks like it's time to get out and get hooked up on these bad boys. Targeting kingfish while slow trolling live hardtails in this warmer weather turns into a little air show. And I've got another secret for you. That Berkeley Magic Swimmer will do the same thing. It's been on the menu as well this week. Don't forget to run your little wire leader in front of these baits, or you don't want to lose them. They're a little pricey. If you don't plan on keeping these fish, it's one of the ones. Dehook them and let them go. I have a long-handled dehooker. I pop them off the side of the boat, let them live to fight another day. And if you are going to take them, they're great fresh, frozen nut as well. I believe we have a picture of a very large kingfish here today.
Whoa.
Nice.
Massive.
So,
love it.
See the old smoker brand right there. So moving over to snapper, it's on the menu here again. These guys have been easy to find the first few weeks. Very large fish. It's one of the size really does matter with a red snapper. The larger the bait, larger the fish really works. Now the fish in the 100 to 160 foot range have been a bit bigger early. And the bottom structure in these areas are holding large schools of fish. So if you're fishing on top of the spot and they're a little small but thick, drift off a little bit and drop your bait. The bigger fish will be schooling around the outside. I rig with a tried true method, old seeker rig that consists of about 2 foot piece of 80-pound diamond leader, a 12-ounce egg sinker, and an 8-aught trocar circle hook. Try saying that twice. And any kind of cut bait just about will work for targeting snapper guys. And we've got a picture here with a nice snapper with old Poppy.
So, Carl, I know you've been doing a little deep dropping. Have you had time to try the fish bite strips or chunks on your deep dropping rigs?
Yes, I have. And if you look on Instagram, and I'm going to throw some on Facebook, we've had some really good luck with that. I've got some really good photos we're going to post this week, Rick.
All right, so why is that you think that the Fish Bites is working as well as the bait? You got any ideas?
Well, you're down deep, so fish are they're going by smell, scent. Fish Bites has a great scent, and so it stays on the hook. So, like we've talked, if you drop, sometimes you lose bait on the way down. This is staying on. If you top it with a piece of squid, they take it off, they're going to come back for that Fish Bites, and you get your second shot or maybe third at that same fish.
You're absolutely right. Or maybe the pecking from the smaller one creates an interest from a bigger one. At least that seems to be some of the experiences I've had. Thank you so much for giving us some heads up on that, bub. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots from the Upper Coast region. He says inshore, fishing for sheep's head on the outgoing tide at the jetties while throwing a Texas rig with squid-flavored Fish Bites and white. There you go, guys. And then offshore, slow troll deep divers or live hardtails around the inshore surface platforms for those kingfish.
Gotta weed out those little peckers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Coming up next, we're sight casting into the Lower Coast region, and then I'm seeing a little rigs and techniques over yonder with Dave Farrell.
Yeah.
Dave.
We're going to be talking about some dolphin. And, this little bird, the bird is the word. It even looks like a little dolphin. Got the dolphin colors there.
Bird.
There it is.
The word. We'll be back.
That's right. Looking good.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio Sunglasses. Blue light blocking. Radically clear lenses. Garmin. Plot your paradise. Fibertex. Leaders in fiberglass fabrication and repair. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, we're here at the workbench. Time for rigs and techniques, Dave.
Yeah.
Dolphin.
Yes.
Something you know a lot about. You caught a lot.
Well,
in your
I've caught a
life.
lot of, but lucky, I guess. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to catch dolphin. When I go fishing offshore, I'm trying to catch two fish, really. Dolphin and wahoos.
Yes.
But billfish comes along, that's gravy. But I'm out there for the meat, and I want to catch dolphins and wahoos. And dolphins are one of my favorite fish. They're one of everybody's favorite fish because they get big, they grow very quickly.
Yes.
So you can take a lot of them. They jump like crazy. They fight incredibly hard for a fish their size, and they're awesome to eat. So they're like the perfect game fish. They've been called that a lot.
Yes.
So it's really not that hard to catch them. The hardest part is trying to locate where they are. Dolphin are always going to be in warm, clear water. They don't like to be in cloudy, cold water. They like water that's 72 degrees and up. Usually, a temperature break is a good place to look for them. A place where the water goes from cold to warm. That temperature break, especially if it's holding bait. Any weed line. Dolphin fish love to be associated with floating debris. A pallet, an old boat that's half sunk, a big weed line. They like to be around things that are on the top of the water because the ocean is mostly a big, vast empty. So those little pockets of life from the sargassum or the pallet or the bucket, it puts bait around it, and they will stay with that piece of flotsam for quite a while. There's been documented cases of them following a guy in a life raft all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. One school of dolphin. Wow. So they will latch on to a piece of debris and stay with it their whole life sometimes.
Wow.
So, but we like to catch them from June through October in Texas. That's the prime months. When it starts to heat up, the dolphin move in and start getting around the rigs offshore and any of the debris we're talking about. And what we do primarily to catch them is troll. And we can troll with ballyhoo on a pin rig and use a lure ballyhoo combination. Dolphin are really kind of like size specific too, is about what they like to eat. I mean, you'll have little fish attacking great big stuff a lot of times, but you're usually not going to hook them. So what you do is you try to size your lures and your baits to the size of the fish that you're encountering. Always with the idea that, you know, when there's a lot of little dolphin around, there can be a couple of big ones too, because big dolphin like to eat little dolphin. Believe it or not, they're cannibalistic, and they will eat a smaller dolphin. We always will find the bigger dolphin deeper. You know, if you find a big school of little schoolie dolphins on the surface, you can sit there and chum them up, and you can catch those little schoolies all day. But it's a good idea to put a deep bait down as well. If you want to put maybe a jig down there, you can jig up a big dolphin, or you can pull out, you know, once you get them all chummed up, you can put all your stuff in and put out some downriggers or even a trolling sinker and troll around that area deep. I won a truck one time doing that because I saw these guys up on top and they were all catching these little, you know, 1 and 2 pound dolphins, bailing them, you know, and me and my buddy Dano, we said, hey, you know, there's probably some bigger ones down underneath all that little pile that they had, because they had a pile of little dolphins on the surface. So we just put some downriggers down, and we were catching, you know, 15 to 20 pound fish when they were catching those little guys up top.
Right. So what about the rod you're going to use?
Well, you know, you're going to need something that, you know, can give you about 12 pounds of drag. You don't need much more than that usually. It's most of the fish you catch. That little Penn Fathom right there is a great trolling outfit. You can catch dolphin all day on that. You know, a little short rod, 6 foot, give you the leverage instead of, you know, making a long rod where it's hurting you. You know,
15 to 30 is more than adequate.
Yeah, should be. You know, I've caught 56, 70 pound dolphin on 80 wides, but you know, that's one of the things I wanted to mention. A big dolphin likes big baits. All the big dolphin I've caught have come on baits bigger than that.
Big island lure.
A big island lure with a big
ballyhoo.
ballyhoo in it. That's the biggest personal dolphin I've ever caught. It was well over 50 pounds. And then I've caught him in Mexico on a Braziliano, a big trolling lure, twice as big as this one.
Yeah.
And we caught a dolphin there that everybody thought it was a striped marlin when it ate.
Whoa.
It ate a short, and it started dumping an 80 wide. Zzz, and I'm saying, you know, it's a dolphin. I saw it eat it, and they said, no, it's got to be a marlin. It's a striped marlin.
They just thought you were some dumb
yeah,
outdoor
exactly.
writer.
And then it jumped, and then, you know, I could have swore it roared when it jumped because it was so big. And another thing, when you get a dolphin close, you know, when you're ready to take that dolphin, the last thing you ever want to do is lift a dolphin's head out of the water. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just the opposite of a tuna fish. When you're wanting to go to gaff a tuna, you want to lift his head out. You pop his head out, he's done. A dolphin, you pop his head out, he wants to keep jumping. His head comes out, his eyeball comes out of the water, he immediately starts jumping. And that's a hard target with a gaff when he's jumping around. So try to, you know, make sure his head's deep into the water before you hit him.
A lot of good stuff.
I know. It's
Not
just
enough
getting
time.
me ready to go dolphin fishing. Those colors, man, just get me every time. All right, now let's check in with the Lower Coast region and see what fun Captain Chad Kinney has for us on the water this weekend. Go for it, Chad.
I'm always having fun, but
I
the
know you
best
are.
part is everything's lighting up this summer. You know, water temps are hitting here, talking about it, and you know, everything kind of rolling around the winds in the bay. But I'm going to talk about some inshore fishing, but I'm going to really talk about some more offshore on this route since it's been taken off out there. Starting with the trout bite we've been talking about, it's been really off the hook in the Lower Coast. I've been talking to guys out of Corpus Christi, South Padre Island, of course, living here in Port Mansfield. All over, it's been great, which is extremely way above the curve where I thought it was going to be. They're holding in 3 to 5 feet of water on the grass beds and out deeper in the Corpus Christi Bay area. Hit those wellheads, you know, deeper out there and all the way down South Padre Island. The long bar is taking off, so it's really good, and they're solid fish too. So the trout bite, like I mentioned, it's been wild. It's been good. From on Corpus Christi there in the wellheads, the free line of live croaker has been working really good. That water's deeper. So the best results, you might want to pre-line the croaker or add a chatter weight to it to get that bait down a little bit deeper from there. In Port Mansfield, it's absolutely been lights out. We've been using artificial live croaker, top water, anything you throw on, they're smashing them, and they're all good, solid fish. So the live croaker says working great. Saltwater sass and sea shad, chicken on a chain is what I just threw the other morning, and we were done in like 45 minutes real quick. In those calmer mornings, that mirror lure, Top Dog Junior is really just been blow-ups, and after blow-ups, it's been a lot of fun to go see and enjoy that.
And just the fish are just north of the East Cut there, and on South Padre, out of Port Mansfield, and on South Padre, use the same methods, but hit that long bar out there just north of the causeway. There's been all these fish are 18 to 22 inch, 23 inch. Rarely we're catching undersized, where a couple of years ago we were catching much undersized. So going to go to a picture here of a trout. This is just one of the 9 trout we kept with 3 guys on the boat. And it's a solid 3-pound trout. That's what you're kind of looking at right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good, healthy fish. Moving to the offshore. Offshore, I'm getting fired up. I think it's going to get better and better as the season goes on here. It's really picking up. State water fishing is really good for snapper right now. Out deep, the federal waters is opened up for red snappers. And out deeper from there, all the way to floater rigs, are producing some great tuna, some billfish stuff off the hooks. So we're going to start with the state and federal water snapper. Like I said, it's been going great. But and there's also been some cobia out there. So mixing in there, if you're fishing for snapper, whether it's state or federals, have something always ready. They're going to pop up out of nowhere. They put up a great fight. They're great eating. Always have a rod designated for a ling or cobia. Like I said, what I like to do is put an Eagle Claw live bait hook, like about a 5 to 7 aught in size, and put it on a pen spinner or a spin fisher, wherever you want to use, open face reel. But use my Moy, a fluorocarbon leader, about 40, 50 pounds, just tied directly to that. Once you see one come up to the boat, just chum just a little bit. Don't put a bunch of big chunks out, but chum enough to get them to go eat that bait. And once it gets eaten, then just kind of free line your bait out there, keep it free flowing, and make sure that bait is pretty much the same size as what you're chunking out there. I see guys all the time go with a bigger bait because they think they're going to get them. Now keep it with the same size weight eating, because they're pretty smart and spooky on that. And then let the fish definitely run a bit. And what you do is just kind of slowly set that drag up to the strike there like that, and boom, that'll hook the fish. And main thing is you got to let these fish tire themselves up before you go for gapping the fish, because they'll go nuts on you. So we got a nice average size cobia here on a picture there that we just caught this past weekend, and we had 2 other ones also on the boat. Moving up, trolling out deep. It can be slower. You never know what you're going to hit, if you hit weed lines or not. But there's an option always. If it gets slow, go down deep dropping. Federal snappers open up so you can hit them. So you might go for a structure and for some groupers. So around the structure, get a heavier jig with some fish bites attached. Also, you can put a full mackerel on there or a belly strip of a bonita, whatever you want to use. And we've been using the Penn 8500 spin fisher with the Blue Carnage jigging rod. This thing is tougher than nails. We've been catching everything with it, but drop down to the bottom. It's really nuts. And if you're going to go bigger than that, then put your hooker electric reel up on the 1080 Wide International bent butt on the gunnel there. We've been spooling this stuff up with 80-pound Mamoy braid on that, diamond braid on the electrics, and 65-pound braid on the spinners. Let that grouper definitely hit. You got to let them take the bait a little bit. And they like to spit those baits, so just make sure he feels no tension for a bit. And after you feel him move a little bit, stick them. And we got a picture here of a nice, solid, about 70, 80-pound Warsaw grouper. Whew. So nice. Moving out deeper, the floater rigs, it's really turned on. 6B deep out of Port Aransas, went 7 for 9 on Blue Marlin, which is just insane. And then to the Yellowfin, whole life out of Port Mansfield, went to the floaters. After tuna, and they caught a full limit of yellowfin. Yellowfin bite was about dusk and all the way through to the morning bite. Top water is what really worked the best, using those Penn 8500 spin fishers, on tackle, and also, chunking some bait. Also, produced some really good yellowfin. Also, and then we got a picture of they caught 12 yellowfin. This is the average size they caught there.
Oh, dream
nice.
trip, bucket list trip for me.
All right, dude. Thank you so much.
Bye,
We're going to
Chad.
take a look at the shallow sport boats hotspot from the lower coast. He says inshore, the trout fishing has really picked up along the lower coast from Corpus Christi Wells to Port Mansfield and South Padre, and then offshore has really lit up with red snappers and federal waters, and plenty of pelagic showing up out deeper past the 100-fathom curve.
What a great day they had out there. A couple marlin,
Oof.
a few yellowfin.
7 for 9. That's more than a couple.
I know. It sounds great. All right, the 28th Annual Skeeter Owners Tournament at Lake Fork is coming up on June 9th through the 12th. Thousands of skeeter owners travel to celebrate the world's first bass and fish for their chance to win up to $200,000 in cash and prizes. Go to skeeterboats.com to register and for more information. The Upper Fresh and STARTRON Middle Fresh regions are coming in hot with big catches on the way, so stay hooked. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Texas Make sure to head on over to our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and to see new fishing adventures along with reports, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. We'll see you soon.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Island Lures, Tournament Tackle. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fish mapping, entertainment. Shallow Sport, Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Penn, let the battle begin.
POWERPOLE anchors have many tools. They are not just for fishing. I love it when I pull up to the beach or the sandbar and see a nice flats boat, bay boat, even a pontoon boat pull up, deploy their shallow water anchor, and enjoy their day out here at the island. Here are a few tips to help you choose the right spot to deploy the anchors and enjoy your day at the beach. First thing I need to do is decide where is the best spot to anchor the boat. I like to always take into account which side of the island or sandbar has the most boat traffic, which side of the beach or sandbar has the wind or the waves rolling in. I'm basically trying to find that nice calm spot. Lastly, I need to park the boat so that if the tide comes in or out, I can adjust the boat throughout the day so that I don't get stuck. After I have chosen the perfect spot, I like to nudge the nose of the boat up to the sand and deploy my POWERPOLE shallow water anchors. I always take out the rope and chain and throw it off the front and secure the bow, just in case we walked away and a big wave or the tide were to come in. Throughout the day, I pay attention to the tide and readjust the boat based on the water level, but with the POWERPOLEs that is easy because all you have to do is hit the up and the down button, and that's your POWERPOLE tip.
All right, if you plan on fishing in the Upper Fresh region this weekend, be prepared for a fisherman's paradise on Lake Fork and more great fishing on Lake Tawakoni, Texoma, Athens, Lavon, and Ray Roberts. Mike, give us more details, please.
Hi, Brie. Hey, Rick.
Hey, bud.
Hi.
Lake Fork. Let's talk about Lake Fork. Lake level is 397.39 above sea level, which is about 6 feet below full pool. Water temperatures ranging from 78 to 82. Water clarity is really good with 1 to 2 foot visibility and what we like to call as guides Lake Fork green in color. The offshore bite is really hot right now. It seems to even be getting hotter. As the water warms up and the low lake conditions have caused a lack of vegetation, cover, and shade, forcing more and more of the bass out of the shallow waters, of the backwaters. These big bass are congregating offshore structures in larger numbers than usual, creating a perfect scenario for a fisherman's paradise. Dozens of giant bass really being caught daily on big worms, football jigs, and really some other plastic-type baits. But the average daily bag right now can easily exceed 25 pounds for your best 5 fish. It's often exceeding 30 pounds, and occasionally will reach a 35 to 40-pound stringer for 5 fish. That's 5 giant fish in a day. It truly makes for an unbelievably world-class fishery. We have a skeeter event this weekend, so it's going to be a real special weekend to see what happens with the skeeter event. Someone's going to win a boat. But for the jigs, I'm finding the best colors to be green pumpkin, chartreuse, and any brim-colored combinations. Use a 3-inch paddle-tail crawfish-type trailer. For the big worms, I'm using a 10-inch version in plum apple, and/or green pumpkin with the tail-dipped chartreuse. Once again, I really recommend that the lake is low and be super careful. This week in the Skeeter event, it's going to be an awesome event that Skeeter always puts on. Someone's going to win one of the best boats ever made, but be careful out there. There's going to be so many people. Follow the buoy lines and idle 5 miles an hour everywhere else. I really seriously recommend that. Let's talk about bass on Lake Athens with guide Jay Bonner. The water temperatures there are 78, 83. The early morning, try Cincos, flukes, underspins around the docks. Later in the day, hit the points, humps, and outside grass lines with crankbaits, Carolina rigs, and Texas rig worms, even with creature bait. Starting to see some fish school up offshore there. In the afternoons, they're chasing the shad, so definitely have a topwater popper ready. In those cloudy days, you can really catch topwater all afternoon. Bass fishing on Ray Roberts with Jason Kahn. Fish the road beds, foundations, pond dams, and Carolina rig baby brush hogs. Your best colors, watermelon red, watermelon magic, and watermelon candy. You may also try flipping some of the standing timber in 8 to 15 feet with green pumpkin colored jigs and or Texas rig brush hogs. Let's go on to crappie. Lake Fork crappie with Terry Moon, one of the best guys here. She says the post-spawn crappie have been in 12 to 24 feet, catching them anywhere from 8 to 16 down around the tree lines, brush piles, bridges, 1/8 ounce limit tackle jigs and 1/8 ounce skipper jigs. Really is the deal. Cloud cover sure helps a lot. And she says as the water heats up, this will only drive them deeper following the bait fish, but it's just going to get better. Terry also wants to thank the grandparents for bringing out grandkids out of school now and just making lifetime memories. Here's one of my favorite pictures, the grandfather and the twin boys from Terry Moon.
Nice. All right, what else you got for us?
How about, we got some crappie on Lake Levon with Kerry Thorne, 1 to 18 foot, 14 foot still being the same, kind of similar report as last week, minnows and jigs. The colors don't matter. Finicky days, try tipping your tip your jig with a minnow and or piece of crappie candy, and you'll find them in the offshore submerged brush piles. Let's see if we can get you some striper action on Lake Tawakoni with Matt Cartwright. He says the wind's been still reluctant, and it's hard to get out. But when he does, he's seeing them stripers, hybrids, and whites in about 18 to 22 feet of water on the offshore humps and ridges. Make long casts with a 1 ounce slab spoon, and be sure to snap it up off the bottom so that it falls back through those schooling suspended fish. Watch your line real close. The strike can be super light at times. And here's some great pics of some beautiful catches with Matt Cartwright.
Tell us about the catfish there, bud.
Let's do Lake Fork one more quick time, man. It's unbelievable here. If you will get cattle cubes from the feed store, drop them in a creek swing in 18 to 24 feet. I'm telling you, the next day it's like a swarm of bees, hundreds and hundreds of catfish. Prepared catfish bait from a tub or even just some simple stink bait. You cannot go wrong. You will fill your limits, and the limit is 50 per person. So come on out, catch a whole bunch. I'm sorry, 25 per person, but you can really catch a lot of catfish on Fork by doing that.
All right, bud. Great report this week. We appreciate all the effort, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the upper fresh hotspots from Mike's region. Lake Fork continues to produce more big bass than any other lake in the region. Big worms used on a shaky head and football jigs fished offshore in structure and through heavy timber continues to produce great numbers of 5 and 10 pound bass on a daily basis. The best colors are green pumpkin chartreuse, plum, and plum apple, Brie.
Plum and plum apple.
Plum and, I'd say that's plum right.
Okay. Okay, StarTron Middle Fresh Regioners, get ready for some Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn craziness with your guide, Matt Loescher. Tell us some good news, Matt.
All right, Brie. Yeah, I know I've been talking about Toledo and Rayburn a lot lately, guys, and I promise y'all I've got some other lake reports coming in the coming weeks. But right now, Toledo and Rayburn have just been really hot. So I'm going to start off with a largemouth report from Toledo Bend. The shallow bite is finally fading. The water's coming on down, and the offshore structure fishing is really taking over. The water temperatures continue to warm up into the mid to upper 80s now, and there's no big rain in the forecast, so it looks like that water level is going to keep coming down. It's just going to keep getting better and better on that offshore bite in the coming weeks. The fish are using kind of a wide depth range right now because they are sort of transitioning into that midsummer pattern. So you're going to want to look to those long tapering points and flats from about 10 to 25 foot of water to find schools of fish that are beginning to settle into that pattern. Early in the morning, they might be up kind of roaming on those flat part of those points and flats and up a little shallower. And then when the sun's up later in the day, you're going to want to look for them out near the drop-off where it falls from 20 or 25 down to 30 or 40. Crankbaits are a go-to right now. I like to have 2 or 3 of them rigged up for different depth ranges, and different times of the day, that kind of thing, depending on the spot and all that. Shad colors are best for those. Then I also like to have a couple of different worms rigged up. The first one is going to be the Bass Assassin Little Tapper, the little small kind of finessey worm. And then the other one's going to be a big 11-inch ribbon tail worm. I like to go with as light of a weight as you can comfortably hold bottom with, depending on the wind conditions, for both of those baits, because sometimes they're going to want to catch those baits on the fall. You're basically looking for numbers on that smaller one and then the size on the bigger one. The old adage, big bait, big fish, reigns true here for the worm and for the crankbait, so keep that in mind if you're searching for size. Over on Sam Rayburn, There's some big events coming up, and the fish have been showing up over there. Man, they've been catching some hammers on Rayburn lately. The water level's also coming down over there a little faster now. It's about a foot below pool, and there's more generation happening at the dam now. So it's going to keep that water level coming on down, and it's going to help position those offshore fish on key spots. So you're going to want to look to those key rough bottom areas in about 10 to 20 foot of water to find them. Bait fish are still very important. You want to be around as much bait as possible. With the water temps and the fish metabolisms creeping up, the fish are going to be around a lot of food. Crankbaits and Carolina rigs are both great search tools for finding the fish and for finding those hard bottom spots. And once you've located something good, it's not a bad idea to toss a jig or a big worm in there to get that bigger bite. The Skeeter Bass Champs has a Texas Shootout event coming up over there on June the 26th. This is a big event. They pay some big money. They're paying $50,000 for first place. And also, the day before that event, on the 25th, if you're out there practicing for the Bass Champs, if you want to set the hook a few times to kind of check your spot, see what's going on, there's another tournament going on as well that day. It's a 3-fish tournament with Rusty's team tournament. You can register for his event the morning of at the Old Castle's Boykin Ramp, and you can find all the information for his event on his Facebook page. Just search for Rusty's team tournament. Now, moving over to the crappie, they have been biting really well. We've enjoyed some awesome days this past week. The stable weather has helped a bunch, and the wind's been cooperating pretty good. It seems like everyone I talk to in the Middle Fresh region is reporting the same thing. They are just biting. I mean, it's good. About 15 to 30 foot of water is the most consistently productive depth range, and everyone's catching them around some type of vertical cover. So find something that produces shade, like your bridge pilings, your big tall timber. You want to go sink some brush to make some shade, that works too. Panfish assassin jigs are awesome right now. They're eating those jigs really good. And then live minnows are always good too. And I'm going to leave you today with a photo of Miss Nikki with a big flab and a big smile to go with it.
All right, Matt, I got a quick question for you. You know, Matt, this time of year, a lot of the stuff you guys are doing is you're transitioning from inshore to offshore. Is there any specific structure that you're looking for? You're looking for humps? You're looking for submerged trees? What are you doing as far as those bass go?
What you're going to want to do is follow those contour lines that are leading out from those big flats, those big spawning areas. Follow them out to those long tapering points and flats where they're going to be some timber or some cut stumps or even some rock piles on some of the lakes. Find whatever good cover is on that break line leading out from the spawning flats in those depth ranges that we talked about, and that's what you're going to want to look for.
That's good advice. Follow your Garmin. Learn to use those electronics to your advantage, guys. It's really not that hard. Go ahead and check out those sonars. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine Systems hotspot for the Middle Fresh region. Our man Matt says Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn bass are finally leaving the bank, and the offshore bite is getting better and better in 10 to 20 feet of water. The crappie are biting like crazy all over the Middle Fresh region in 15 to 30. How did I know that he was going to reference that in his? Somebody sent it to my mental telepathy.
Yep, that was a good word, but you just need to trust in your electronics, listen to your elders. The Garmin Middle Coast region is taking over next, but first, Dave is taking over at the workbench for some new product showcasing. What you doing over
We're going to
here?
showcase some new products.
We are?
Yeah, look at that.
What a surprise.
Oh boy, she's so smart, isn't she, Dave?
Yes, she is.
Oh, don't get me back.
Smart ace.
Oh, I'm an ace. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Tin Cup Mountain Whiskey. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miralure. Abu Garcia, Fish to Win. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Fenwick, feel everything. Diamond Fishing Products, our reputation is on the line. R&R Tackle, from our tackle box to yours. And STARTRON, start, run, and store with STARTRON.
Well, we're here trolling the edge with Taco Marine, and you know what, Dave? New products is what we do here.
Correct.
At the workbench.
And we're going to start there with the little Paul Brown's Crazy Croaker. You know, this is a favorite bait in Texas. You know, it's a little crazy little croaker there. It's a sinking twitch bait. It's got that square front on it that, you know, when you get that thing moving really fast and give it a twitch, it darts all over the place. It's a really good imitation for a lively bait. Or you can slow it down real slow and, you know, make it look like a wounded bait, you know. It's really cool because it's got that soft body. You know, they grab onto it and hold on, and those hooks hold on to them back. They got some really sharp hooks on them too. So it's a really cool little bait. You know, you fish with it wade fishing or, you know, drifting all along and just making casts. Catches a lot of trout and redfish. So.
I bet it does.
Yeah, it comes in 10 different colors. And you can go to shopmirrorlure.com and find that little Crazy Croaker from Paul Brown.
There it is.
Next, we have the T&H Marine. It's a 2-pack fender kit with it come with the lines. It's I guess a 5.5 inch by 20 inch inflatable. It's got ribs on it, so it, you know, keeps it a little stronger, you know, for being an inflatable. It's got 3/8 inch lines that are 5 feet long. Plenty of enough line to make, you know, any adjustments when you're, you know, rafting up or coming alongside a seawall. And you can go get one of those at thmarine.com.
What I liked about these, Dave, the reason I picked these when I was looking through their catalog for some of the products we wanted to showcase this year, is that it already came with the lines. With the lines already attached.
Yeah.
You know, it's a one-stop shop when it comes to having a portable fender.
TH Marine is a one-stop shop for just about everything. This guy's got a bunch of stuff. Anyway, next there we got the Fraybill Power Stow net. It's really a good, that's the 3704. It's one of the smallest ones, actually. They make some pretty good sized nets. And what the cool thing about this is it stows away. It folds down. Once you get it all the way to the end, you just collapse it. Was that your finger in there?
Yeah, it was.
Oh. Well, anyway, it's 14 by 8, 1 inch poly. It folds down to a 8 inch by 25. 40 inches of net in there. So it's plenty big enough to get probably wouldn't want to go too much bigger than a bass in there.
But you know what?
But they do make different sizes. That's the smallest one, the 3704.
And they make this style way up to big, giant nets that have multiple extending handles that the guys are using for walleyes. Walleyes.
Fraybill.com. You can check that out. Last but not least, from Plano Synergies, we got the Plano Stow-All, and they came out with some really cool stuff a couple years ago, and those yellow boxes with synergy boxes. But this is a durable, waterproof storage folder. It's marine grade material. People would say, "Oh, you could just put it in a Ziploc." Well, this is way more than a Ziploc. If you put your stuff in a Ziploc, you find out what happens after 4 or 5 trips. Holes get punched in it.
And then the mildew starts.
Correct. It gets all opaque. You can't see what's in it. But this is a marine grade material, again, resistant to heat, abrasion, and any kind of solvents. It's got a nice little easy label on there, and it fits in a 3700 box. Yeah, it says cool stuff right there. That's what we got in there.
Well, but anyway. you can put your boat paperwork, your trailer paperwork,
your registration and everything in there.
All that important stuff that you
keep it on the boat at all times.
Yeah, and
PlanoMolding.com. You can go get one of those.
PlanoMolding.com. All right, Brie.
Hello, reusable sandwich bag.
Yes, you can put a sandwich in there.
Yeah, peanut butter and jelly for sure.
All right, the GARMIN Middle Coast region is always producing something, whether it's inshore or offshore, and let's emphasize the offshore. Captain Bing, take it away.
All right, we briefly saw our first taste of the surf this week. We got a few days of lay down in the Gulf, and there were trout roaming in the first guts. Winds were calm, the bay slicked off as well, and birds worked over hungry trout. Early morning was the best. Those winds increased in the afternoon, but man, in the morning it was really, really nice to see emerald green waters again. In Surfside in Freeport, got Mike Siegel. He caught trout to 4 pounds on live shrimp. The same held true in Port O'Connor with good trout on Bass Assassins and topwaters. Guy Lynn Smith said he enjoyed a steady bite of trout to 24 inches on topwaters and plastics in Port O this week. He's been working the back lakes on that hard incoming tide, and those tide running trout are flooding through Pasco and they're turning the corner and just flooding those back lakes.
And then in East Matagorda Bay, it greened up this week. Some of the largest trout of the year were found. 8-pounders, 7-pounders, 6-pounders were caught every day on bass assassins, on live shrimp under a popping cork. Not to be outdone in West Matagorda Bay, where a lot of fish on Half Moon Reef, on rig deep, about 4 foot deep under a popping cork, and live shrimp did the trick. This week really gave us a good look of how our bays have rebounded from the freeze. We released a lot of fish in the 2 to 3 pound class. It's legal to keep 3 trout right now in the Middle Coast, but a lot of captains are not doing it. They're still playing the conservation game and releasing those fish, and so we're happy about that. And then Rockport topwaters and Texas Custom Corkies have scored over sand and grass on the incoming tide. Partly around Mud Island and Super Flats and East Flats of held fish around wads and mullet. There's a photo there that calm winds allowed us to work those deep reefs, and there's a trout to 8 pounds there that was caught and released. When you're releasing those fish, get them back in the water. Our water temperatures are 84 to 85 degrees. They really need to get back in the water as quick as we can. We'll go to black drum. Fish just about any reef on the incoming tide, and chances are those black drum are all over it. Lots of drum found this week on Shell Island, Twin Island, Orchard Lake, Matt Island, and lots of those fish were caught on live shrimp under mid-coast cork. They're rigging it about 18 inches and fishing it in about 3 foot of water. Palacios area has held a lot of fish around Coon Island, Tres Palacios, and Turtle Bay area. Nearby Half Moon Reef, it's been holding black drum as well as those trout. Our tides have switched early in the morning. They're barreling in during the day. The grassy shorelines on the north end of West Matagorda Bay has been good. Spots like Cutoff Flats and the Blue Hole have held black drum as well as redfish. As always, there's a lot of reds and drum along the Middle Coast at all our jetties. Lots of big shrimp along the beach right now. A lot of those fresh, dead shrimp are working well around our jetties. We'll go offshore. Guide Michael Quebeca, when it slicked off this week, he went out about 80 to 90 miles, and he put 9-year-old Abigail Webb from New Braunfels on a swordfish weighing 274.6 pounds. This fish qualifies her for a new junior state record. Like I said, he was working, he caught it during the daytime, working 80 to 90 miles off. Those tranquil seas have also been good for our federal red snapper season. Offshore anglers took easy catches of snappers, some to 20 pounds on squid and sardines, not to be outdone with kingfish while trolling around the rigs. It's June in the GARMIN Coast, Middle Coast region right now. It's the best month of the year. We're pleased to, just be in the heat of the summer. There's that photo there, a photo with Abby with her giant sword. That's a pretty cool deal when you get that little 9-year-old out there and getting after that big swordfish.
She will never forget that.
Bink, don't go anywhere. I got some questions for you. When you're talking about the black drums, you guys, you're fishing them, whether you're fishing them around the jetties or on oyster bars, are you working the pop and cork with the shrimp real hard, or is it more of a bottom game where the black drum really do well making a living?
No, we're rigging it so it sits off the bottom about 8 or 9 inches, and you just pop it hard and let it sit. Pop it hard and let it sit, and man, they dunk it.
Is that right? All right, so tell me one other thing. That big 8-pound trout that those guys are catching, is that guy catching those on top water? And I'm really proud of how you guys have taken the stance about conservation. I hope you guys keep that up. Tell me what the plan is.
Yeah, he actually caught it on a bass assassin while drifting in 5 foot of water. But we have caught them on the Berkeley jaywalkers, topwaters. And man, we're just right now our limits are 3 fish in the 17 to 23 inch range, and we're really trying not to keep any trout at all. The ones that we are keeping are those male fish, and that are right at 17, 18 inches. But most of the anglers out there are on the conservation train, and man, they're letting them go for the betterment of the bay.
Good for you guys. I'm really proud of you taking a stance on that, Bink. Keep up the good work. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says that the trout are good over the deep reefs in East Matagorda Bay on live shrimp and bass assassins. The redfish are good in the back lakes under the birds while drifting in the bay.
Those were some darn good questions there, Rick.
Yeah, man. You know, you got to have those ready on the fly. You never know when a guy's going to blow through his report real quick. But
it's live TV.
I'm really impressed with, it's long overdue that Texans take charge of their fishery.
Yeah.
It's not cool to be having this big stringers and towing them all behind you and all of that stuff.
No.
It's just not
Just
as
need
cool.
enough for
And
the
those little
fam,
black
the
drum are
friends.
good to eat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, most people don't know those little black drum are really
Take
good
what you
to
can
eat.
eat, you know? Who wants frozen fish?
So, Dave, you did a good job on the dolphin. I appreciate that, man. And I know it was killing her. She was like ants.
wants to go.
She had like ants in her pants.
She's
She
wearing her
loves
dolphin
catching the
shade
dolphin.
even in
I
her
am. I
eyes
have
tonight.
dolphin eyes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Go out
Thanks,
there and catch
guys.
those fish, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.